What's up, everybody? Welcome back or welcome to the Protect Our Queens podcast presented by Basketball Society. With me, as always, my brother in Christ, my partner in women's basketball crime, Martin Soares.
What up?
How you feeling?
What up, man? How are you feeling? You're the one. You said you weren't sick, but you've got something going on. So what? You're still clearing your throat and coughing and stuff. So what's the status?
It's turned into, because I had asthma when I was a kid. Now, when my sinuses get messed up, I'm left with a dry cough. So that's all it is.
All right.
Just a little dry ski. I should probably find my inhaler and probably take it out.
As someone with asthma, I'm assuming that's something you should have handy. Yeah.
Well, it's not as bad as it used to be. So I don't need it as much, but I forget because I don't get all nasally often that this happens. So yeah, it's in a drawer in here somewhere. So I'll probably take a couple puffs of that when we're done.
All right, couple puffs, puff pass. Don't be greedy now. Don't be greedy. Couple puffs. Don't take it there now. But yeah, we're here. Listen, there's a lot going on in the world. I'm glad to just have a little bit of time to talk about some cool things going on in women's basketball. We got some exciting things coming up. Playoffs are coming up. We're gonna do our updated top 10s tonight. Top 10 players in the WNBA, which we've done a few times.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do our latest one. The last time we did it was right before this season started. Mm-hmm. So that'll be fun. I told you, man, I know you haven't watched it yet. I watched the Diana Taurasi documentary finally. It's been out for like a month. It's on Amazon Prime. Anyone who is a true women's basketball fan, I highly recommend watching it for many reasons. And Marcus, as you know, my sister Cappy played with Diana in Phoenix. They won 2 championships together. Mm-hmm. Cappy Pondexter was the 2007 WNBA Finals MVP. And Diana mentioned her, a couple times in the doc, which was pretty cool to see. Even saw some footage I had never seen before of them playing against each other overseas on some of those stacked overseas rosters that I used to hear about. One of the coolest things for me, Marcus, when my brother and I were kids, Cappy would tell us about her stints playing overseas and these Euro leagues. And she would tell us these teams, like her team, like players that she'd be like, yeah, I'm playing with Angel McCautry and Candace Parker. And then she was like, yeah, Diana's got Sue Bird on her team and Tina Thompson. And we would just be like, yo, what is going on over there? She would just be naming these literally super teams playing in Russia and Turkey. And we were kids. And obviously we knew of these players watching her play against people. But man, I never really saw footage from those games before. And they had some stuff in the doc. So that was really cool to see, because I would always hear about these super rosters being put together. And the Russian guy who was featured in the doc, who Diana was really close with, apparently he was the maestro, like investing in, paying. I mean, Marcus, Diana's rookie salary was $42,000. And this guy in Russia was paying girls like Diana, Cappy, Sue Bird up to $1 million just to come over there and play for 6 to 8 months in their league. Like that's just how much he really loved women's basketball. And there was a lot more backstory to his story and that stuff, which was really kind of crazy and interesting. But really interesting stuff, man. Like really, if you're a women's basketball fan, again, check it out, because they did a good job of tying in the Caitlyn comments. Like they went all the way up to her retirement, which was just a year ago. So it was cool to see them kind of go from, her upbringing, obviously, and stuff, to all the way up to when she retired. And just showing how she was the one who was like, you really get a sense of why she's one of the GOATs. Obviously, I mean, of course you would expect that, but just a really cool doc, man. I would highly recommend it. Finally got a chance to watch it the other night.
There are a few things that I've listened to you talk about that get you more excited than when you talk about Cappy Pondexter, which I always think is just a really cool thing. And it makes me wish that there was somebody out here that talks about me and gets excited the way that you talk about Cappy. It's really wholesome. It's really wholesome. But yeah, as Martin mentioned, we are going to be talking about all WNBA teams. We're going to be talking about top 10 lists as well. And the playoffs do start this weekend. So we're going to do a little bit of that at the end of the show. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to play the intro and we'll start things off with our all WNBA conversation.
Protect our queens.
They told me A'ja Wilson wasn't marketable, bro.
Do you practice this? Was this spur of the moment?
Is Juju Watkins better than Caitlin Clark? I feel like people have been saying that already.
I mean, there's the argument that she was the best point guard as a rookie last year.
I still think Arike is a better basketball player than Sabrina Ionescu is.
Napheesa Collier is unstoppable right now.
Maybe, just maybe, Napheesa Collier is breathing down her neck. A'ja Wilson knows it too. So shout out to Post Her Hoops on Instagram. The other day posted this graphic and referencing the 2025 first team all WNBA players. It has Alyssa Thomas on it, Alicia Gray, Napheesa Collier, A'ja Wilson, and then a question mark in the middle for that 5th spot. And the question basically here is, Martin, who do you think takes that 5th spot? There's a number of different players. Looking at the comments, it seems like Skeptical Football Fan certainly thinks that Kelsey Mitchell should take that spot. Sabrina, I mean, feel like you talked about Sabrina Ionescu as well. There's some interesting comments about Paige being probably taking this last spot as well. Where's your mind going with who gets this final spot on this year's first team all WNBA?
I mean, I think we've talked about this. I think we both believe that it's kind of between Kelsey Mitchell and Paige Beckers. I was a little surprised. And I don't know why I was surprised, because then when I thought about it, I'm like, oh, wait, Paige probably has put together a first team all WNBA season. Honestly, eye test wise and stats wise, I think that might be fair. We are going to do our top 10 here in a little bit tonight. And it's interesting because it coincides with, I mean, the first team all WNBA, the first and second team all WNBA is essentially the top 10 players in the league, right? So sure. If you're saying a player's first team all W, then right now you're essentially saying they're a top 5 player right now. So we'll see how much that coincides with the list that we put together with our top 10 list. That'll be fun. Yeah. But to say that Paige would be here would be to say that Paige is a top 5 player right now. I think there's a perfectly sound argument for that notion that Paige is top 5 right now. But again, it did strike me a little bit to think that she might be first team. I could see her getting second team. I feel like Kelsey Mitchell might have earned that. I mean, I think Kelsey and Paige both have had great seasons. I saw that Kelsey Mitchell has had the first 20+ point per game season of any player in Indiana Fever history this season. First player in Fever history to average 20 or more points a game. So that I'm surprised by that. I meant to check for myself to see if Tamika Catchings literally never averaged 20.
Yeah, wait a second.
Came from the Fever PR page. So if someone wants to fact check me, please go ahead. I meant to double check, but it came from the Fever PR page. So that was fascinating. Also saw that Kelsey Mitchell's the first guard in history. I don't know if it's first player or first guard in history to have over 850 points and 150 assists this season. She has tweaked. She was one of the most unguardable players in the league this year. I mean, 20 points a game, of course, also, somewhat not carrying Indiana, but leading the charge with Caitlin out. They're still a playoff team. I could kind of see it going both ways. Paige has had a phenomenal outlier rookie season, the 44-point game, highest point total of any player this season. Yeah. Almost had double figures in every game. I think it's been all but one game so far, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Paige, man. I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's kind of a toss-up for me, but I think I'm leaning more towards Kelsey Mitchell.
So I didn't know either of those two things about Kelsey Mitchell, especially the one about her being the only guard to have scored 800 and assisted 150. That's interesting. Especially too, I'm thinking we've seen guard players get at least 800 the past couple of years. So that was an interesting number. But the argument for Paige, I think, now last night when we were prepping, I did say it's going to be Kelsey Mitchell, but if it's not Kelsey Mitchell, it will be Paige. Mm-hmm. But then I started sitting down, putting, just looking at what Paige has done this season. and I'm starting to think it's going to be Paige. Like despite how really good Kelsey Mitchell's season was, Paige is 5th in points per game. She averages a touch over 19. She's 7th in assists, a touch over 5, and she's tied for 2nd with steals. She's the only player in the WNBA top 10 in points, assists, and steals. She also shot 47, 89, and she shot 49 from the field and 89% from the line. And she's 56.6 true shooting. So she was one of the most efficient players in the WNBA as well. As you mentioned, she had double-digit scoring games in all but one. And the night before, or the game before she dropped the 44 on 80-something% shooting, she had 29 against the same team on equally as ridiculous efficiency. She was the only starter. She's the only rookie to be a starter this year. She's been rookie of the month multiple times. She's not even likely. She's going to win rookie of the year this year. But other than that, too, the other thing I think about is she was in a similar situation to Kelsey Mitchell on a much worse team, right? Like their best player in Indiana didn't play for most of the season due to injury, and Kelsey Mitchell stepped up, filled that void, and played great. The best player in Dallas missed large chunks of the season at a time, and when she was there, she still wasn't great in Enrique Gumbwale. And Paige was really the only consistent shining spot in Dallas. Not to mention the fact, coming into the season, they only returned like 3 starters, and then by the time we got to the trade deadline, the roster they had entering the season is completely different from the roster they had post All-Star break. And she continued to consistently be the best player on the team and consistently like maintain that scoring output. And again, much like how we talked about with Rookie of the Year a little bit ago, I know that first team All-WNBA isn't a team thing, but to be consistently at that level, despite your team quite literally being in shambles, I think means something. And compared to like the other guards that we've talked, like even like the Sabrinas or even like the Kelsey Plums, like, and even to Kelsey Mitchell, like Paige was consistently in that conversation all year, right? Like Kelsey Mitchell, for example, really, really strong season, really, really, really good season. But we weren't talking about Kelsey Mitchell this way at the beginning of the season. We were talking about Paige as Rookie of the Year from the beginning of the season. We were impressed with what Paige was doing. She missed a little bit of time due to an injury, but when she came back, it was like she didn't leave. And I don't know, like the more I sat down and I thought about it, the more I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Paige. She's definitely going to be second team, but I have a strong feeling just with how, like, bro, and this might be a crazy thing to say. I have to really sit down and like think about it because there's only a couple of rookie seasons that I can think of off the top of my head. Paige's rookie season this year is one of the greatest rookie seasons we've ever seen.
Of
like
course.
Top 5, I would say a top 5 rookie season we've ever seen. I would have to sit down and look at some of the other rookie seasons that I'm like not too familiar with, but off the top of my head, of the ones that I know, it's up there.
Yeah.
And if you're having a top 5 rookie season, doing the things that she was doing, setting the records that she was setting, like every other game, she was the fastest to do something.
Yeah. She was doing that. It felt a lot like Caitlin last year. There's just always records. There's always some new thing about what she did. I saw she's one of only 3 rookies in WNBA history. It's her, Asia, and Ryan Howard are the only rookies in WNBA history to have multiple 20-point, 5 assist, no turnover games in their rookie year. Multiple. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Paige, man. I did tell you at one point that this thing was going to get dicey. This first team All-WNBA was going to get dicey because Asia, Fee, and AT have been locked pretty much all season, right? Like they are locks. After that, you were looking at, there were 4 guards playing really high level basketball this year. And at different points, like Sabrina in the first half of the year was a first team All-WNBA player. Yeah. She was a top 10 player. Like Sabrina in the first half of the year, she was playing great. She was so between her, Alicia Gray, who's been great all year, I think she became a lock as well. And then you have Paige and Kelsey Mitchell. You could throw Kelsey Plum into the mix there, but I feel like she would be after. Like those 4, I think, were playing really high level basketball as guards at different points of the season. So where we are now, the way the season has played out, Sabrina missed some time And right before she missed a little time, she kind of took a dip off. Her August hasn't been as great as her June and July was. And Paige just kept kicking up more and more. Even though her team's not winning, she became a spectacle, became even more unguardable. I put in one of the reels on my page, like she's on saucy Paige timing now. Like she's just unleashing and unlocking more of her bag. It seems like maybe she's just like getting to play around and experiment more because it's like the team's not winning. Let me just get out here and hoop and just like try stuff out and see what I can get off. So with that level of freedom, and I told you that's the Paige that we would need to see over time, especially if she's going to become more of that aggressor. Yeah. And it came on, I would not be mad at all Paige has had a first team All-WNBA caliber season. And if she's first team, Kelsey will be second team, Kelsey Mitchell, that is, and or vice versa. I think they're both deserving.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing for Paige is if Paige does make first team, she would be the 6th rookie all time to make first team All-WNBA. Caitlin did it last year. Candace Parker did it her rookie year, obviously, because she won MVP. Diana Taurasi also did it in 2004. Tamika Catchings in 2002, and Sue Bird also in 2002 was on first team All-WNBA. So that's some elite company there for Paige Beckers as well, if she can do it. And again, would justify the claim that she has had potentially one of the 5 greatest rookie seasons the league has ever seen. Let us know what you guys think down below in the comments. We continue the conversation on who you think gets that 5th spot for first team All-WNBA. As Martin mentioned, if we're talking about first team All-WNBA, that does kind of mean we're also talking about who the top 5 players in the WNBA are right now. So we are going to jump into our end of season top 10 players list. But before we do that, let's go back to the beginning of the season when we talked about our top 10 players. And I left a player completely out of my top 10.
I feel like sometimes we crown certain players a little bit too early with certain things, right? Yeah. Where we say that they're the best guard in the WNBA, or they've got the best IQ, or they are top 10, top 5, whatever. And again, I'm not saying that Caitlin is top 10, top 5, whatever is being done too early. But I know, you know this, I'm a football guy. We see all the time, we say one quarterback's top 3, the next season he sucks. Yeah. And it's like, geez, what happened over like you said earlier, no football was played, no games were played, and you went from being this elite to being like dog water. And so as a football guy, when I take that over to basketball, it almost kind of like it's the same thought process. Like, okay, I'm seeing some flashes, but let me see you do it again at that exact same level or higher before I fully commit to saying, great, you're top 10. And that's where I'm at with Caitlin.
Interesting. Interesting, my friend.
It is interesting.
We're gonna see if your consistency.
Now, I would just like to point out at the end of last season, Caitlin was in my top 10 at the end of the season last year. She wasn't in my top 10 at the beginning of the year, but she was on the tail end of my top 10 at the end of last season.
Right. And that's when I asked you what changed. How could that be? What changed?
Yeah. And so and that's what prompted me to kind of just say, I think sometimes we crown players a bit too early. Now, I am not at all saying that Caitlin wouldn't have been a top 10 player this season if she played all the season, but she played 13 games this year. Not a top 10 player.
Right.
I think it's not a big one, but I think I can just put a little star next to that in my book of takes.
Okay,
before I show my list of my top 10 players, just to remind you guys who did remember or to you guys who weren't here at that time, what my top 10 players were. When we did this, this was on May 16th. So this was literally the morning of the first day of the season is when we did our top 10 players. I had Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, Jonquil Jones, Alyssa Thomas, Arike Gumbwale, Kalia Copper, Sabrina Nescu, Kelsey Plum, and Jewel Lloyd in my top 10. As it stands today, on what is the final day of the WNBA season, my top 10 is as follows. Asia and Nafisa Collier are still 1 and 2. I think that is a no-brainer. I do think that there is potential maybe if their two teams respectively match up in the finals, whoever wins, like if Nafisa and the Lynx win the chip this year over Asia and the Lynx, I think there's or Asia and the Aces, I think there's a possibility that Nafisa could jump to number 1, but I still think it's Asia and Nafisa Collier. Number 3, it's Alyssa Thomas, and it has to be. This is the second year over the last 3 years that she has been an MVP candidate and will likely, unfortunately, just due to the greatness of Asia Wilson and another basketball player, not win the MVP award. To steal words that Martin says all the time about Alyssa Thomas, if you don't think Alyssa Thomas is a top 10 player because her box score numbers or averages aren't gaudy, I don't know what to tell you. Because when you watch
it's mainly her points. I mean, her box
her points
score
more
gaudy.
specifically. But when you want to compare her points to some of these other players on the list, like her impact is undeniable on both sides of the ball as well. When you watch her play basketball, it is absolutely undeniable. So this is where things got interesting, because I do not think that Jonquel or Brianna Stewart necessarily had a better season in totality than any of the players beneath them on my list. However, I do think that for me personally, the gap between the 5 best players in the WNBA, in my opinion, and the next group of 5 was so large, or large enough in my mind, where despite how good Alicia Gray, Nneka Page, and Ryan Howard were, who are the 4 new additions to my list, it was just hard for me to justify putting them ahead of Jonquel and Brianna Stewart, because even though Jonquel and Brianna Stewart did miss time this season, when they played well. They played true to form, right?
Yeah.
Jonquel Jones started the season off as MVP candidate, and they played in enough games this season where I felt, and they played well in those games where I felt like they should still justifiably be number 4 and number 5. The switch, though, is Brianna Stewart went from being 3rd to being 5th, because I think it is undeniable at this point that Jonquel Jones is the best player on the New York Liberty. I think that's obvious, and I think we saw that when she went down and the Liberty fell apart early in the season after they started the season undefeated. As for the 4 new additions, Alisa Gray, Nneka Ogwumike, Paige Beckers, Ryan Howard, 6, 7, 8, and 9. What we saw from those 4 players this year, I think, justifies them being in my top 10. Alicia Gray was an MVP candidate up until Alyssa Thomas really went on that triple-double streak and really just kind of asserted her dominance. Alicia Gray is going to be on first team All-WNBA. Alicia Gray is in the conversation for being one of the best guards in the WNBA, which is a conversation that Martin and I have had on this show in the past. As for Nneka, the funny thing about this is at the beginning of the year when we did our top 10s, we were reacting to ESPN's top 10 list. And if I'm not mistaken, ESPN had Nneka either in their top 10 or like right outside of their top 10. I think she was like 8th, actually. So she might have been a slot below where I am. And I said on the show, I was like, I'm not sure if at this point in her career, Nneka's definitively a top 10 player. And then she goes out and, in my opinion, has a top 10 season, which I thought was kind of ironic. I've already talked about Paige. I think Paige is 8th. Ryan Howard is an interesting one because Martin and I are both big fans of Ryan Howard. We both wanted to see Ryan Howard be competitive. When we had Dan Thompson on the show last week, Martin had mentioned that he expected or kind of thought that Ryan Howard would benefit the most from Carl Smesko being the new head coach in Atlanta, and it actually turned out to be Alicia Gray. And I love what Alicia Gray's done this season. I think Ryan Howard had a pretty strong season as well. Again, she did miss time due to injury, but in the games that she played, I thought she played enough that justified my beliefs previously of her and my views of her as being a top 10 player potentially. And Sabrina's drops down to 10 because, again, just like with Jonquel and Brianna Stewart, she was already a top 10 player. She did miss some time, but I still think her season was strong enough to justify her being in my top 10 list. So the players that slipped out then in that case are it was Arike, Kalia Copper, Kelsey Plum, and Jewel Lloyd. But yeah, as it stands today on what is the final night of the WNBA regular season, this is my top 10.
Yeah, and I do want to add how like we always like find it unfortunate that there are players who are top 10 talents at their best. And so we try to do this list based on just this past season, what we just saw, where we are now. That's why we take injuries into consideration. And yeah, like there are names like Kelsey Plum, Satu Sabali, Kalia Copper, Arike Ogwumike. There are a handful of names of people who I guess, you could say honorable mention, but like these are players that when they're on and having a great season, they are top 10 talents for sure. Yeah. This is just where we think who we think are the top 10 players are right now, basically like going into the playoffs, essentially based on performance this season.
And the funny thing about you mentioning Satu is I remember when we had Treese on the show, that DJ Treese on the show the second time, and we were talking about the Mercury, and we had all kind of agreed at that point in time that Satu was playing like a top 10 player in the WNBA at that point. She did kind of go into a bit of a slump, but last night, I mean, the first half of that game against the Sparks, she had 17 points in the first half, and again, and showed flashes of being potentially a top 10 player in the WNBA. So it's like
has top 10 talent. So it's
absolutely.
like that can just pop, that can emerge at any time. So we absolutely acknowledge that.
Skeptical Football Fan says being on a losing team gets you top 10. Paige Beckers does not build her roster. Paige Beckers is not responsible for the shortcomings of those around her. She's responsible for herself, and she goes out there and she plays basketball. Paige Beckers is a first team all WNBA candidate. And in my opinion, that makes her top 10. And I will say this as well, and I know people might not like this, but and we had this conversation on the show, I think Paige is better than Caitlin Clark. And at the end of last season, I put Caitlin Clark in my top 10. Mm-hmm. So for me, and I think that this season, as a rookie for Paige, better than Caitlin Clark's rookie season last year. So losing team or not, just
say that so definitively, but that's your opinion. You feel like
just I don't think it's like a wash. I think it's close. Yeah. But I think Paige was a little bit better this year than Caitlin was last year. Caitlin was great last year. Caitlin was like really, really good last year.
Yeah, and her team went to the playoffs.
Had
a winning record.
Dallas sucks, bro. Like, I don't know. Caitlin last year is not going to the playoffs with this Dallas team. That's not happening.
I don't know, man. I can't say that for sure. That's a different style of play you're talking about. We talked about this in that episode. It's a completely different team.
What?
So, bro, you're telling me Dallas doesn't have good players? They didn't have DJ.
Dallas has good players.
You actually said that they built a team around Paige.
I did. And then Arike got hurt, and then they blew that team up. What do you mean? Arike was hurt, and they blew that team up.
So if they kept the team they had healthy,
and Arike
that would have been the team.
I think that would have been a playoff team. Yeah, if Arike
they had a team. It was
they did.
They have good players.
It was there. I don't know if and you're right. It is a different side of play, so that does factor into it, which is something we've talked about when you compare Paige and Caitlin. Is you do also have to take into account the fact that Paige and Caitlin play different styles of basketball, so the impact is a bit different. But yeah, I would just say just generally, but the general point there is I had Caitlin in my top 10 last year. I think Paige again had one of the greatest rookie seasons ever. She has to be in my top 10 this year. I just feel like her team having 9 wins has nothing to do with what she did individually as a basketball player this year.
Yeah, eye test wise, I think she's a top 10 player. I think anyone who has been watching Paige, she sticks out. She does things all over the basketball court. She carries herself like a top 10 player. She has top 10 talent. So yeah, I don't think her team's losing record has to impact that. Just this is an individual thing, just like even the all WNBA teams. That's just the best individual players. I had told you, and we'll show my list here in a second, but I was struggling with, do I put Paige in the top 5? Because I think she's been that. When Paige comes into your gym now, you're like what she has been doing, what she did to Kelsey Plum in those 2 games, the little jelly layup she's starting to get, like the kind of things that she's doing is like, oh no, she's different. Like she's a different type of basketball player than a lot of those other players out there. She is of the elite talents and skill sets. She has proven that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I will say,
to me, to be a top 5 player, to be top 5, you have to be the type to be able to carry your team, like to the playoffs, or we've had the conversation about like carrying a team before. Like, I honestly, we'll show my list, but I had to show Jonquel and Stewie respect as well.
Sure,
but I think they're missed time. I think Stewie has kind of taken a little bit of a dip in the time that she has played this season. And the way Alicia Gray, you talk about Jonquel Jones being an MVP candidate early in the season. Alicia Gray's been an MVP candidate all season.
Yeah.
So I found it hard to not put Alicia Gray in my top 5
That's
now.
fair. I will say there is a notable omission. It is Kelsey Mitchell, and it is because I think Kelsey Mitchell played better than Sabrina Ionescu this season.
She played better than Ryan Howard this season.
She played better than Ryan Howard this season as well.
Ryan Howard's been really good. Ryan Howard's been.
I had to think about where those players were on my list originally. Kelsey Mitchell was towards the bottom of my top 15. Ryan Howard was like right in the thick of it. And so when I thought about how they played, I was just thinking about, does how they play justify them moving up as far as I'm having them move up? So Kelsey Mitchell is right outside. She's 11. And I did tell Martin this last night. If we were doing this show tomorrow and I had another sleep on it, Kelsey Mitchell would be 10 and not Sabrina Ionescu. Because my original list had Kelsey Mitchell at 10. And then I slept on it. I woke up this morning. I was like, no, I got to put Sabrina at 10. But if I got another sleep and we did this show tomorrow,
you just go right back to
Kelsey Mitchell. Because I could have convinced myself to go right back. That's how good I think Kelsey Mitchell
go
was.
to the tape, man. It helps.
It
go
does.
To the tape. Go to the tape. It helps me.
It does. It does.
That's
help.
what I had to do last night. I had to go to the tape.
That does help. But Marlon, let's go ahead and get into your top 10. Do you want to run off your original top 10 first before we
I had Asia, Fee, Stewie, Caitlin, Alyssa Thomas, Jonquel Jones, Sabrina at 7, Kalia Copper 8, Arike 9, and Kelsey Plum at 10. That was at the beginning of the season in May, or right before the season started. So here's where I'm at now. Top 3 obviously going to be the same. And yeah, like I said, I felt like Alicia Gray had to be in my top 5. I put Kelsey Mitchell in my top 5 right now, because right now I think, and like I said, I almost did Paige. I almost crept Paige into the top 5, but I put Stewie and Jonquel ahead of Paige on mostly respect, but also like their size and their range as players. So like Paige is, you could almost like call Paige a big guard. Like she's long, she's got like good size on her. And she kind of like plays big too. So Paige kind of has that ranginess to her game too, where she's not just like a scorer or just like she's a little bit of everything. But I think just the size and the versatility, like Brianna Stewart, and I put her just outside the top 5, but like Stewie is still the consummate all around Swiss Army knife, take over a game, beat you in different ways type of player. Like just all around, she is still of that mold. I fully still consider her elite. I wouldn't be surprised if she kicks it up in the playoffs. Like, again, I think just eye test wise, I feel like she's maybe lost a step, maybe a half a step, just a little bit. Haven't been crazy about her shot making and shooting this season. But I still hold Stewie in that high of regard. So her, and same with Jonquel, just like as a centerpiece of a team, these are two of the biggest. I told you earlier in the season, Jonquel is the biggest matchup advantage in the league, and Stewie is kind of that mold too. So those two, just as like unicorn outliers, I'm like, I'll put them ahead of Paige for now. But I kept Kelsey Mitchell at 5 because I think she became the most unguardable guard this season between her and Paige, which is funny because we started by talking about which one of them is going to be first team All-WNBA. I think they were the two most unguardable guards this year. And I would give the edge to Kelsey Mitchell mainly because of that speed. I mean, anyone who talks about Kelsey Mitchell has to talk about that ridiculous speed that she has on her. And she combines it with high level shot making, twitchiness, side to side, start, stop. It's not like out of control. It almost looks like it could be out of control sometimes. She's going so fast, but she's in control, and that it makes it even more impressive. But she can do, I mean, Kelsey Mitchell, she is so dynamic, so electric, maybe the most electrifying player and guard in the league this season. So I wanted to give her that credit as naming her top 5. And then I rounded it out with Sabrina and NECA. I wanted to throw Ryan in there. But I felt like with her missed time, with Alicia really being the engine behind that team most of the season, I think Ryan's really been coming on as of late the last couple weeks. Like you referenced how I brought up on our last show last week. NECA had to be in there, bro, because this is her 14th season. Now that the regular season is over, it's official that she has gone 14 straight years shooting over 50% from the field. This season, in 44 games played, 40 of them, she scored double figures. She's 35 years old. She's my age. She's my age. NECA, and when you watch her, those are just the numbers, and I try to pull some numbers to give us a little more context here, but I actually watch the game, so I can actually share what I actually see. NECA is still an absolute force out there. It's kind of crazy how the greatness of all these forwards and bigs that we have with Asia, Fee, AT, even Tina Charles didn't really get talked about enough because Connecticut was bad, but like she had a season that was like at her age, it's like, wait, you're still that good? NECA kind of got the similar kind of treatment. Skylar Diggins had the moment this season after the game where she was like almost brought to tears talking about how NECA deserves more respect. So NECA is also the first player in Seattle Storm history to have 40 double-digit scoring games in a season. So that 40 out of 44 double digits scoring, first time a player has done that in franchise history. So if you watch NECA, she is still, she can still get you 18 and 10. Like she's still, the game against Golden State last night, down the stretch, they're going bucket for bucket. They're running this little curl set for her that it's similar set I see them run for Asia, where she comes out of kind of the mid-range curling into the elbow and she gets it tough bucket. Like she can still just get her shoulder into you, take some bump. She still got the post fades, turnarounds. Like NECA is she's still like that. So I gave her the edge on top 10 because she's just still that good. I would have loved to put Ryan Howard in there. I think she'd probably be at 11 there for me. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with the top 10.
Yeah, no, you can't deny again, like
I said, man, Jackie Young, another example of a top 10 kind of talent, right? We know how listen, Chelsea Gray is a top talent at her best.
She is.
You know what I mean?
So the comment is, Marcus, as an Aces fan, you put Paige over Jackie. Paige isn't paying me. If I were on Paige's payroll, first of all. I wouldn't hide that information from anybody. But also I would say this, like Paige had a better season than Jackie Young did this year. Jackie Young has played really, really well during this 15-game win streak that the Aces have been on, but she was not playing this well in the first half of the season when the Aces were dropping every other game, it seemed like. So again, I agree with Martin. Jackie Young, also the very first top 10 list we ever did on this show, which was,
I remember she was on both of our top 10.
She was on both of our top 10 lists.
I don't know which one, but yeah.
And I think been on our top 10 and it was the very first one we did, I believe. Like she's been on our top 10 before.
And she's a top 10 talent.
And sure. She is one of my favorite players to watch. She's one of my favorite basketball players in general, men or women. But again, as Martin said, like just looking at what we saw this season, also thinking about like kind of where we are overall, Jackie Young, it was a tale of two halves for Jackie Young this season. The first half of the season, not that great. Second half of the season, really good. And that's the half that matters because it's going into the playoffs. So
was she, you said not that great. Like, was she good? Was she bad? Was she just okay?
No, I wouldn't say she was bad. I think for me personally, given the expectations I had for Jackie Young coming into the season, it was a bit underwhelming. But again, we know that she was coming off of she did deal with injuries last season, and then she did suffer like a minor injury during the unrivaled season earlier in the calendar year as well. So she was coming off of that. But right. She looked like, and I know it's just a preseason game, but in the preseason game the Aces had, the first preseason game of the season that we had at Notre Dame, she looked great. She scored 30. She looked like she was her old self. But I think too, it was just a situation where in real time, once the game started counting, there was still a lot that needed to be figured out, like with the Jewel Lloyd component, and also the defense wasn't great across the board. The defense was piss poor across the board for the Aces, and for Jackie Young, in my opinion, to be I consider Jackie Young to be one of the best two-way wings in the league. If the team defense for the Aces isn't great, that means two things. It means either Jackie Young's not playing good defense on the perimeter, and or A'ja Wilson's not playing good defense in the post. And how many times have we ever said that A'ja Wilson doesn't play good defense in the post? So, like, when we're talking about defending the pick and rolls and defending the switches, which was the problem with the defense for the Aces early in the season because Becky Hammond kept harping on it over and over and over again, that to me points to Jackie Young. So again, got a lot better second half of the season, and she had a really strong second half of the season, but that first half of the season just left a lot to be desired, which is why Paige is in my top 10 and Jackie's not. But like Martin said, Jackie Young is a top 10 talent.
She is.
And Jackie Young at her best, 2023, when she was a near 50, 40, 90 player, and for all intents and purposes, the reason we won that second championship, top 10 player in the WNBA. We get that Jackie Young back. I don't speak for Martin often, but I'm willing. I'd bet a house if I had one that Martin and I would both have Jackie Young in our top 10 if 2023 Jackie Young came back, because that is the player we saw that had her in our top 10 to begin with.
Yeah. And look, it'll be interesting. We might end up updating this again after the finals, right? Because that'll be the official end of the season.
Sure.
And there will be players in the playoffs who will have a chance to up their stock on a our little list like this. Obviously they don't care about, but like we still have more information to update this list. Jackie Young and Ryan Howard both have a chance in the play. Paige ain't playing in the playoffs, right? She's the only player in our top 10s that's not going to be in the playoffs. So someone has a chance to get in that slot, right? So Jackie Young, I mean, look, the last couple of weeks, the way she's played, like you said, during the win streak, she has looked more like her kind of top 10 self. If she's going into the playoffs like that, she could make her case back in the top 10 legitimately, and that will help Vegas actually make a title run here.
Scheduled football fans says Kayla McBride, Alana Smith, Courtney Williams all better than
Kayla McBride has had a hell of
Kayla McBride has had a really good 2 years, actually. She had a really good year last year. She's had a really good year this year. I mean, I think here's what I think.
Individually, I don't know about that. Like,
so I think Kayla McBride, Alana Smith, Courtney Williams, if they were not in Minnesota, I think they would get a little bit more, not that they don't get love, but I think they would get a little bit more love and consideration. More so Courtney Williams and Kayla McBride will get a little bit more consideration in conversations like these. They're both very talented. All three of them very talented. I mean, Alana Smith, according to ESPN, is Defensive Player of the Year. And Courtney Williams is, as we talked about earlier in the season and also late last season, one of the best point guards in the WNBA as well. And again, we just said Kayla McBride, 2 really strong seasons. So, but again, if we're comparing their seasons to Paige, again, let's think about what Paige did this year.
Paige has had a special individual season and an all-time great rookie season. She's had a special. You'd have to. I don't know if any of them have had a special individual season. They've had a special season as a team. But the closest one is Kayla McBride. That game where she lit up Vegas for, what was it, 8 for 8 from 3? Like she
didn't miss a shot from 3. That was the game that we lost by 53, I believe.
That I think it was. Yeah. She's probably had the closest one to like a special season, I would say. But before we move on, Marcus, real quick, who would be a couple of players? Because we were talking about this. Who would be the 2 or 3 players that you would, if a young person or any person like wanted to introduce them to the WNBA and be like, okay, I need you to display for me.
Yeah.
Like, give me examples of people who, if I sit down and watch their game tonight, I will come away like, oh, okay, she's nice. She's tough. Yeah. I have more respect for someone who's never watched before. They want to get a sense of, an alien just came from Mars and they're like, okay, I want to see what this women's basketball thing is about. Yeah. Whose games would you want them to see?
I think the first 2 are obviously A'ja Wilson and Nafisa Collier. Like, those are the 2 right off the bat.
Okay, those are the 2 best players. So,
but aside from that, like, if we're talking about like players who like
need to, bro. I'm talking about like, and maybe I'm not setting it up well, but like, you need to convince this person. Like, you want to show them, like, I'm not even just talking about the highest level of basketball. Maybe I should just say it in a way like the most entertaining.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I got you.
Games would you want them to see to be like, for them to be like blown away? Like, oh my God, like what am I watching?
I think Rickea Jackson is on that list.
Okay.
Like, I'm a big fan of Rickea Jackson's game. I think Rickea Jackson is on that list.
Yeah.
I think given the season she had this year, I think Sonia Citron's name could be on that list as well.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
I saw something yesterday, actually, because the Mystics played their last game last night against Liberty. They lost. Sonia Citron scored the 5th most points by a rookie in league history and had the 3rd most threes. Or might have those two things flipped. But like, she had not quietly, but she had a really good rookie season. And I would also
great eye test player. Sony's a great eye test option. Just watch her. You're like, oh no, she's the way she moves.
Yeah,
it's just smooth. It's like, perfect eye test kind of player.
And I would also throw Gabby Williams in there as well, just with the year that she had this year. Like, I know who Gabby Williams is. Like, I've always been aware of her, but like watching her more this year with Seattle, and like another player who has been a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but she also had a stretch of games there when she was like consistently the leading scorer for Seattle. She was racking up double digits and she was getting a bunch of steals. I believe they have a game tonight and she has a chance to get to triple digit steals, which hasn't been done since Therese Weatherspoon did it way back when. But those would be my 3, I think, immediately, because those are 3 players that I watch them and I thoroughly enjoy watching them play. But
yeah,
Rickea Jackson, Sonia Citron, Gabby Williams. Those are 3 really.
Because it's funny, even as you think of these, it's like you don't have to think like our top 10 lists are a different, that's different than even.
And some of those players obviously are on that, but
right. No, exactly. It becomes a different thing. I think number 1 for me would be, and I told you this, I was thinking about this. If I had to introduce somebody to women's basketball who's never seen it before right now, I would pull up all the Chelsea Gray film and just have them sit there and watch. Bro, the way she plays basketball is not regular. It's not regular. Her bag is not regular. Her passing bag, her handle bag. I'm not missing this off my camera. I'm just going to restart this. Her passing bag, her handle bag. She is not a regular women's basketball player. That's the best way I can put it. That behind the back pass that she throws from the top of the key routinely off that flex cut off the baseline, where they send a cutter on the baseline and she just whips it around her back just right here and just sends it to the bait. Bro, this isn't normal stuff. The way she plays, that's probably number 1. I don't even know if I have another name right now for you, honestly. I think like usually it would be, who I would usually say, Marine Johannes.
Yeah.
But bro, I don't know how much you've watched the Liberty this year. Something's up with Marine, man. I don't know what it is.
You think so?
She doesn't look inspired playing back. I mean, think about it. How many clips have you seen of Marine?
That's a good point. That's a good point. We don't see those.
Usually you get a highlight at least every couple weeks or something, Bro, I'm telling you, games I've watched, they bring her off the bench. She just doesn't look like she's having fun or like she's inspired. It looks like she's almost like going through something. I don't know. I don't want to assume, but it's just I just don't see the same.
Yeah, you're right. Because I'm thinking about we have not seen as many clips of Marina Johannes doing
Like, think about it. You haven't seen as much. I'm telling you, watching the actual games, I just don't see the same like vigor and excitement and creativity for the game. I don't know. I've just been and as I've been wondering about the Liberty, I'm like, man, if they get her going, everyone can forget about it. Yeah. And as the Liberty have kind of been up and down, I when I've watched them, I'm like, okay, maybe now Marine, maybe now she'll kick up. Maybe now is the time. And it still hasn't really happened yet. But normally, she's one of the main ones I would bring up. But right now, I don't know. She feels like kind of in a funk. I thought of Rickea Jackson too. She would be one. I love the Sonia Citron mention. Ryan Howard would be up there for me as well. Mm-hmm. Her bag is just different. She doesn't play like a normal women's basketball player. Those are the kind of players I would need to pick out, or like ones that don't play like a normal female basketball player or what you might expect from a female.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Let us know, guys, in the comments. What do you guys think? If you had to introduce someone who's never watched women's basketball before to women's basketball, who are some players that you would have them sit down and watch? We're going to wrap things up talking a little bit about the playoffs, because there are two teams specifically that we feel have the potential to really shake things up. It's the Atlanta Dream and the Phoenix Mercury. But in order to have that conversation, let's toss it back to last week. We had a guest, Dan Thompson, on the show, and we were talking about who we expected to have strong playoff performances this year.
I think the one that I would love to see have a even more significant arrival is Nas Hillman. I watch her, and then just like looking back to her career trajectory all the way from Michigan, that's a person that has been waiting patiently for her opportunity, and she's seized and been incredible with every opportunity she's gotten. She leads the WNBA in 2-point field goal percentage.
Wow.
I think that she is the best, like, holistic defender out of the three bigs on Atlanta. And it's one of those interesting things where it's like, obviously she's the smallest of those three, but she's the most versatile. I see potential in her game to ascend to like a secondary scoring type of offensive threat. And what I love about this squad is they are so talent deep.
Yeah.
So
Do we have? I feel like we have the same answer here. I feel like we know who we're talking about. Are you still high on Phoenix? Are you gonna take your? Are you gonna start taking your victory lap? Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. When we get to the end of the season, we are gonna roll out, and I will do the work to do it, because it's what I do as a video editor. I will go and pull all of our best and worst takes from the season and before the season. And you had your shining moment with me and Tree saying that Phoenix will be better than the Sparks, and the Sparks are out of the playoffs as of last night. And Phoenix is a top 4 team, right?
I also got something. And granted, again, it was under adverse circumstances. I did say the Phoenix Mercury would be a top 4 team in the WNBA this year. They do have the 4 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I just, bro, look. And I don't want to be dismissive of the Dream, because I did also, when we did our prediction show the morning of the season, I did compare the Atlanta Dream to the Boston Celtics, right? Starting with Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray, kind of building out from there. But I was watching the game last night between the Sparks. Obviously, the Mercury did lose that game, but just thinking about the Mercury, like watching them play, just a couple things that stuck out to me. Number one is they have the 3rd best defensive rating in the WM right now, which is a massive jump from their defensive rating last year, because last year they had one of the worst. They allow less than 80 points per game. Really? They hold their opponents to 42% from the field, 32% from 3. They force roughly 14 turnovers per game, which is the best in the league. And they only allow 31 points in the paint per game. And they hold teams to just around 9 points on 9 second chance points per game, which is also the best in the league. So this is one of the best defenses in the WNBA, if not the best defense in the WNBA. And when you look at their side of the bracket, they obviously open up against the Liberty.
But are we set though? Are these rankings set, or
I think most of them are.
There might be
the only ones that are still figured out, that need to be figured out, are Golden State, Seattle, and Indiana. But the top 5, I think, are set in stone.
Okay, so it's definitely Phoenix, New York in the first round.
Yes, I think that is definitely what's happening. And when you look at the 3 games that they played against each other, Phoenix won 2 of the 3 games they played, and they beat them by an average of 13 points. Now, New York did also beat Phoenix in their win by, I believe, about 13 points as well. But they've seen this team 3 times. They've beaten them twice. There's a potential for them to play the Mercury. That's the only team in their portion of the bracket that they didn't beat at all. They dropped both games. But aside from that, and this is what I was thinking about when I just thought about like previous champions as well, is we know that the great players on your team win you your championship, but your supporting cast and your bench win you games.
Sure.
Right. Think about like Kayla Thornton and Niara Sabally last year and how big they were down the stretch of games 4 and 5 for the Liberty.
Sure.
The Mercury has, in my opinion, the best bench in the WNBA.
Really?
I think so. I think it's the best bench. Really? I think, so their bench scores 25 points per game, which is towards the top of the league.
Wow.
They account for about 35 to 40% ish of their total. So about half of their minutes just less than half their minutes comes from their bench players, and their bench shoots 43% from the field and 33% from three. And when you're talking about players like Sammy Whitcomb and Dewana Bonner, who are coming off the bench, who for all intents and purposes, giving the matchup, can play starters minutes off the bench, just having that wealth of experience. I mean, we're talking about Alyssa Thomas, who's been to a WNBA Finals. We're talking about Kalia Copper, who is a WNBA champion and Finals MVP. Dewana Bonner has won a championship. Like, there are so many players on this team who have made deep runs, both not just in the big three and in the starters, but also off the bench. I mean, there was a point in time we talked about it, bro. Like, they had their bench or their rookies on their team accounted for the most minutes played of all rookies in the WNBA on all the units, not just because they had so many, but because they were so productive, and also because Satu missed a little bit of time. Kalia Copper also missed the first couple weeks or about a month and a half or so this season as well. So, like, they were getting those reps early. And I will say, my one concern when the Dewana Bonner trade was announced is that things will kind of get thrown off. They haven't missed a beat. Like, they've still been able to bring her in seamlessly and continue. So I did say that my one hot take when we had Cassie on the show a little bit ago is that I think if the matchups are right, the Phoenix Mercury can win a WNBA championship this season. I still do believe that. This is also this season. The Mercury won. They mentioned this on the broadcast last night. Their win total this season is, I believe, second or third all time
in franchise
in franchise history. Yes,
really.
The winningest team in franchise history won the championship. The third winningest team and the fourth winningest team in franchise history won themselves the championship. So, for all intents and purposes, this is one of the four best teams the Mercury have ever placed on a basketball court, and the other three have all won championships. History's on their side. So I think one of those teams was 2004. The other team was the 2014 team. I can't think of the other year, but the third championship year for the Mercury is what that other third team is, and I can't remember the order. But yeah, I am still, and I know they're the 4 seed, and I know that the Dream technically have an easier road to the finals because of who they have to face compared to who the Mercury have to get rid of. But I do still think the Phoenix Mercury are more likely to make the finals than the Dream are.
I mean, I think what you just said is debatable, though, because my thing is, like, as you're talking, one of the main thing that I worry about for Atlanta is if they have to go through Vegas, because I am starting to get higher and higher on Atlanta, but I don't think Vegas would be a great test for them to see if they are ready. Mm-hmm. But I honestly just at face value, I think Atlanta's best player being Las Vegas's best player's best friend doesn't help Atlanta. I don't think Alicia Gray is ready to dethrone Asia Wilson. I just don't. When I watch them play against each other, I'm not saying that Leash takes it easy or that she's intimidated or any of that. It's just something that you notice when you see players who are friends, and just there's a hierarchy, there's a dynamic, and that's more like Big Sis. Asia's the best player in the league. Like, that would be a major statement for Leash to kind of step up and take that from her. And so even just from a franchise standpoint, like, Vegas has been there. Atlanta has a first-time head coach. Like, I just think that might be too much for Atlanta. But I'll say this. I am getting higher and higher on Atlanta. And I love what you bring up about Phoenix's bench. And when I've watched Phoenix, I've certainly been impressed with, like, people who are hooping and making things happen, hitting shots outside. I mean, and we agree. I mean, their big three, if AT, Kalia Copper, and Satu are all healthy, in rhythm, and locked in, they can absolutely make a finals run here. Like, the combination of those three talents, we've said it since they acquired, AT and Satu. That combination is wicked. That's a wicked combination. So if they're all locked in and ready to go, not going to be surprised at all if they're about to make a run, because that semblance of talent is just insane. Yeah. And they have other players who have stepped up, who are hitting shots, who are playing well in that system. So that's that series, Phoenix, New York. That's the first round matchups I have circled. I need to watch every dribble of that series. That's going to be a heck of a matchup for both teams, because for me, that's Phoenix is the type of test for New York where it's like, okay, if we're about to try to make this repeat run, first up is Phoenix. That's Alyssa Thomas. That's Satu Sabally. That's Kalia Cop, that's a team you're going to have to really go through.
Yeah.
And so in terms of brackets, I think Phoenix might have a better shot at making a run, just because I don't know if Atlanta's really going to be ready to take out Vegas in a series.
That's
now
fair.
what I'm liking a lot about Atlanta is, going back to your Boston Celtics comparison, if they get hot with their 3-point shooting style, they might shoot their way not just to the finals, but to winning the whole thing. I mean, if they're able to beat Vegas, obviously, if they can get through Vegas, that's going to be a team that's super. I'm telling you, Marcus, if we see Atlanta beat Vegas, in at least 2 of the games, they will have made at least 15 threes. They will have games where they just go off from 3, because that's how they play. And if they're in rhythm, if Ryan hits a few and Alicia hits 2, and if it's humming, Atlanta's, I think they have the most potential to like get hot, because that's how they play, is like getting hot and shooting threes. And they've shown that it works for them.
Yeah.
So I think their depth is coming along. Maya Caldwell is a lengthy athlete off the bench for her. She's a sleeper that people don't really talk about. They don't really know about. She makes things happen off the bench. She's kind of dynamic. Pow, we know what she can do. And again, another 3-point shooter. Yeah. We know their rotation of bigs is more than sound. Naz Hillman, Bree Jones, Brittany Griner. Like, they're starting to look more and more like, okay, kind of looks like a complete team. And if they have the confidence shooting the ball, I'm starting to get a little high on Atlanta here. I'm starting to think maybe they can make a run here.
No, and I agree. I would just say the one reason why I think their road is slightly easier is because if Phoenix makes it to the finals, it's because they beat the Liberty and the
Liberty and the Lynx. I mean, they would have,
for the Dream. And I'm not trying to write off the Fever at all, but I've already said on the show when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, about a month or so ago, I don't see the Fever winning a playoff series. Like, I don't see the Fever beating the Dream, especially not without Caitlin Clark. So really, the big thing for the Dream is just going to be, can we get past Vegas? Like, which is a tall task, but it's not going to be, not that it's not going to be too tough, but Phoenix has not just 2 tough series back to back, they're going to have 2 physical series back to back. Like the series against the Liberty, those 3 games, potentially 3 games against Liberty, will be physical, and the potential 5 games against the Lynx will be physical.
So do you think Atlanta's more likely or Phoenix is more likely?
I think Phoenix is more likely, because I think they're better suited and better equipped with the experience and just the way the team is put together. I'm just saying, I also acknowledge that even though I think they're more likely, their road to getting there is tougher because of who they have to go through.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm going to be honest. That's slightly confusing, but I'm rolling with you.
I just think I think they're better. I think they're better equipped. They've won 6 straight.
They're better team. So you think they're better than Atlanta? You think they're better than Atlanta
in a play? I think they're better for the playoffs. Yes.
Right. So you think they're better than Atlanta?
Yeah.
But you think they have a tougher road?
Yes.
But you think because they're better, they're just more equipped to go through their tougher road than Atlanta is with their potential.
I think it is more likely, to me, I think it is more likely that Phoenix beats the Liberty and the Mercury than I think it is that the Dream beat the Aces, is basically what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Because I think they have not just the roster to do it, but they have the experience on that roster to go up against the experience on those other 2 opposing rosters. I mean, those are that is the champion and runner-up from last year.
Yeah.
So if you need a team that's going to go up against and take out the champion and runner-up for last year, you're going to need a team that's not just built well, but a team that has a bunch of players who have gotten that far before and knows what it takes to get there.
Yeah. We talked about players who could maybe up their top 10 stock during this playoff run, and who's going to have like kind of a, who's really going to step up and go on like an individual great playoff run. Alyssa Thomas is she's a tough matchup for everybody, but she's a tough matchup for New York. That's where Stewie and Jonquel better be stretching and doing their and with the trainers and getting their stuff ready. Because Alyssa Thomas, we know how she plays. Like, she plays up and down. She plays physical. She tests you with her passing and with her movement. She makes you think, and she's physical. And so you have to be ready to take on what she's coming with. And I think she's a very tough matchup for New York. Just like, again, she's a tough matchup for anybody, but that's a tough test for New York. But I say that to say AT, and think about it, bro. Asia's probably about to get MVP. It was mostly Fee for most of the year. AT, as we know, is like the, kind of the odd woman out here. She'll be first team, but this might be all the motivation she needs to be like, you know what? My team's just as good as y'all's.
Yeah.
I'm like, and we know she has the kind of individual impact to go on that kind of, I like to call it like a Giannis run. Where, I mean, her team is kind of, she has a little bit more of like a super team than like what Giannis had in Milwaukee. But you know what I mean? Just as an individual force.
That engine, that force.
So good, right?
Yeah.
She's just too dominant. She's just making too many plays. You can't stop. Like if she gets into that kind of mode, that's where I am not surprised to see Phoenix make a title run here. Absolutely not.
And to your point about the Liberty, what I will say is when the Liberty and the Sun matched up in 2022, when the Liberty made it to the finals the first time, that was the worst offensive series we saw from Breanna Stewart. Because of the matchup.
Right. AT gave her fits.
AT gave her fits.
That's right.
So,
and she takes pride in stuff like that, bro. I feel like you notice that, like,
she's crazy.
She's
crazy, bro.
She's a psycho.
The other day when they were playing the Sun, I might have lost, but the other day the fans were like, they had, or it was either the fans or something, or like they had done a video package where like, this is Tina Charles' house now, and AT hits a free throw, and it's like, this is still my house. Don't get it twisted.
She's a sicko.
She's a nut, bro. She's crazy.
Now, can we just close with a few quick reasons of why I think there's a legitimate case for the Las Vegas Aces to make this championship run?
Please do.
Let's start with the stat that you shot out to me that you saw for every team that's gone on a 15-game win streak.
Yeah. So they are the fourth team in WNBA history now to have been on a 15-game win streak. The Comets did it in 98. The Mercury did it in 14. And not the Sparks. Was it the Sparks? The Sparks did it in 08. All three of wasn't the Sparks. There's another team. I'm drawing a blank on it. But the other all three of those teams that won on a 15-game win streak, I was just talking about it so I can pull up. All three of those teams won a WNBA championship. All three of them.
I mean, when you think about a 15-game win streak at this point in the season, it's not like it was in the middle of the season, or they went on this streak going into the playoffs. You talk about getting hot at the right time. This is the perfect time for them to be rolling. So, I mean, I feel like that alone, I don't think the rest of the league feels very confident about playing against Vegas right now, the way that they're playing. They're in their best form. Yeah. So you have that. You have Becky showing up in the pink wig before the game. The pink wig. So what does that let me know? They're back to having fun. There's an air of lightness back in the Vegas franchise. Obviously, they're winning, but they're winning because they've tightened up and they figured things ever since they lost by 50. I put this on Threads. Clearly losing by 50 was the perfect exactly the traumatic kind of moment that a team like that needed to turn things around. I mean, losing by 50, after that, you either become a team that is just not good. You just fall. You're just like, you know what? Maybe we're not that good, right? And you just keep losing games, and maybe you can just see you kind of just sleepwalk through the season, or you say, nah, like Asia said, don't come back to work unless you're ready to turn it around. And you prove like, wait, we are better than this. The biggest story to me that I've seen from the Aces and their win streak was how Becky let them start doing their own scouting reports. She has said that has clearly made a difference, particularly on the defense, which has been I can't wait to hear even more about that, because that's just a cool thing with players making more decisions about schemes and stuff on the floor. Like Becky has been talking about that a lot, about how Chelsea Gray, Asia, like all the players, they started doing their own scouts. And clearly that's been part of the turnaround too. So you got the 15-game win streak as part of history. You got
that third team, by the way, the 01 Sparks. I knew it was a Sparks team. I just had the year wrong. So it was the 2001 Sparks.
Got it. And then so you got Becky's pink wig. Can't overlook that. The air is back. The air of fun and lightheartedness is back. The 15-game win streak in history. The 50-point loss, which they haven't lost a game since that. And then I look at the potential the playoff matchups. bro, they're looking at possibly getting to play the Valkyries in the first round. And we just talked about it. If it's the Valkyries and possibly the Atlanta Dream in the first 2 rounds, not to say those aren't good teams.
No, they're good teams.
That's the favorable side of the bracket, as opposed to not have to possibly go through New York or
Minnesota. The left side is murderer's row. Dude.
To not have to possibly not have to go through New York or Minnesota en route to the finals is just another reason why we can expect Vegas to at least get to the finals. Yeah. But all in all, it's feeling like this will be a Vegas championship run, bro. I mean, how could you not argue that? I mean, I think we need Vegas, Minnesota. Unless New York puts it back together and starts getting back to New York Liberty basketball and they start looking like the best team. I would love to see New York, Minnesota in the semifinal, finals rematch. Let them duke it out to see who plays Vegas. Would love to see that. So I want to see what New York does. I want to see what Emma Mieseman does. They've been bringing her off the bench. I still think she can be a huge impact for New York because we've seen how she helped them stay afloat, especially when Stewie went down. And Mieseman is a really good basketball player.
Yeah, 2019 New York, Finals MVP.
New York could turn it around. They could start clicking. But it looks and feels like we need Vegas, Minnesota in the finals. That last head-to-head matchup, I know that's got a bad taste in Minnesota's mouth, especially Fee, because Asia might have won the MVP in that game. She absolutely dominated Fee in that game. Yeah. So,
and storyline wise,
and the game was great itself. So I would love 7 games of that.
And storyline wise as well, thinking about this is the first year there's going to be a 7-game series for it to be the 2 best players in the WNBA.
Come on,
going up against each other for a championship, right? Whether it's Asia winning her 3rd or whether it's the Lynx winning what would be their 5th, which would be the most ever, break their tie with Houston. Like we can all agree, no matter who we think is the best in the world, best player in the world, like whatever, that is the finals matchup that everybody wants to see.
And
Vegas versus Minnesota, Fee versus Asia, and that would be a great like trifecta to what would have been 3 really good years of WNBA.
I was about to say the last few years, it feels like we've gotten the matchup, like the best possible matchup in the finals. Those Aces Liberty matchups, Liberty Lynx last year, like we've gotten it every year. This year, it feels like it needs to be Vegas, Minnesota.
Even you go back to 2021, like the Sky Mercury matchup in 2021 wasn't expected, but it was still a really exciting matchup as well.
Great players, great matchup.
Yeah, we've been on a nice little. Let me actually. We're almost out of here, but this just happened, so I just want to get a quick yes or no to skeptical football fans comment. Asia wins MVP and a chip this year, undisputed GOAT. Yes or no?
If Asia wins MVP and the championship,
undisputed GOAT.
Yeah. That'll do it. That'll do it.
That's what we like to hear.
That'll do it.
That's what we like to hear. 4 MVPs, 3 championships, 2 finals MVPs.
Marcus, like what will we?
A 3rd defensive player of the year?
Maybe. What will we? Mo, we have to circle back. You're one of your takes the beginning of the season. You said MVP and DPOY again this year, and it wasn't looking too hot all the way through. But my God,
we got there though.
The Lord has been smiling on you with that take.
We got there.
That may be in the card, man. No, but bro, I think I've told you Candace is pretty much my GOAT.
Yeah. And she's mine as well.
Diana, I kind of Candace, Diana. Sometimes I flip-flop back and forth, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Candace because I think she's the best all-around player ever.
Sure.
When Becky said that recently about Asia, she's like, she's going to be the greatest of all time. Like she declared it. That got my mind prepared for like just getting ready to start saying that because I mean, objectively speaking, that is what's happening right before our eyes. If she does this thing, I think she's going to get the MVP, bro. That last game against Minnesota, head-to-head against Fee, the timing of that couldn't have been more. Better. That couldn't have been better for Asia. Couldn't have been more detrimental for Fee's MVP case. I mean, that I feel like that thing, there are still people vouching for her, and I think she'll still get, first place vote.
Yeah, she'll definitely still get first place vote.
It's an overwhelming, compelling argument for Asia.
I mean, she is, as of I think last night, or maybe the night before, she is now the odds-on favorite. on betting.
He became the odds on
minus
again,
290.
That game did it. How could that game not do it? You're head to head with the person they're saying is MVP over you. And no, man, it's got to be Asia now. If she wins the title too, the GOAT will be among us.
One last note, I don't think it's likely to happen, but I do just want to also point out that A'ja Wilson this season also has the third highest scoring season in WNBA history.
That's right. Yeah.
She had the most ever last year with 10-12. She's at 9-14 this year. We do have a game tomorrow against the Sparks. I don't believe she'll be able to score enough points in that game to surpass Jewel Lloyd for second. I don't remember exactly what Jewel Lloyd's number was, but the year before in 2023, but I know it was in the 900s. But A'ja Wilson's season from 2023, I believe, is also in the top 5. So when we talk about A'ja Wilson being potentially one of the best scorers in WNBA as well, what we've seen this season is yet another example of that. She's got the most 30-point games in a single season ever. She's had 12 of them.
That's right.
And most of them have come in this 15-game winning streak.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very, 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 very interesting. And Martin and I are going to be here every step of the way. So if you are not already subscribed to Basketball Society, please make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss any future episodes and conversations on Protect Our Queens or any other basketball content curated by my GOAT, Martin Sorias. And when you're done, follow us on Instagram and Threads at @ProtectOurQueen_. And we will be right back here in this same place on Basketball Society on a different day, different time to talk all things with basketball. So for my guy, Martin Sorias of Basketball Society, this is Marcus of the Protect Our Queens podcast signing off. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, you enjoy yourselves some women's basketball.